You may have seen that a couple of days ago, we announced that we raised $3.7 million for Neutonic, and we secured a valuation for the business at $20 million. And some of you might have been like, wow, that's really cool, but what does that mean? And why would a business that's doing well need to raise money? And I'll be honest, these are the same questions that I had to ask. Firstly, there are a few lessons that everyone should take note of when it comes to Neutonic. We wouldn't have been able to come out the gates as fast as we did if it wasn't for having strong email marketing. And one of the kind of main premises that I promote in my mentorship is that most of us should hope to pivot at some point. When I was a personal trainer, I didn't expect to pivot into online PT. When I was an online PT, I didn't expect to pivot into writing books. When I was writing books, I didn't expect to pivot into having a business mentorship. It only makes sense looking backwards. So whatever business or industry you're in, just make sure you're taking data so that when you do inevitably pivot into another avenue, you have lots of data that you can utilize to get yourself off the mark. Back to the Neutonic raise. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell you this, but I'll tell you anyway. About 6 to 12 months ago, a very big business that we even got a little bit giddy around tried to buy us, in essence. We thought it was going to be a strategic investment, but pretty much they said, we will buy you, we'll take half now and we'll take half in a few years. It was tempting, would have made Chris and myself look like we know what we're doing, which we don't. We're just winging it like everyone else. But it was in that meeting that we realized companies that might want to acquire you or invest into you don't care about profit. They care about growth. If anything, we were profitable in our first year, which we bootstrapped. And what that means is we put all of our own money in to start this project. And even in the first few years, we had so much money tied up in stock that we would have to then invest more money to diversify the stock and bring new products in. Oh guys, we're bringing out a focus blend. That's amazing. We need another $200,000 from everyone. Great. So we then realized at that point, if the aim isn't to be profitable and it's just to grow as fast as we can, then looking at our existing projections of sell $1 million of stock, have, for argument's sake, $2 million to then buy $2 million of stock to then sell and have $4 million, the curve wasn't aggressive enough for our liking. Not only that, when it comes to getting that aggressive curve, you need things like retail, getting into shops, getting onto shelves, you need relationships with buyers. You need people that know what they're doing, not Chris and I. Chris is amazing at his podcast. I'm great at chatting about email marketing, whatever it is. So we needed to hire people, needed to bring in talent. And one thing that was really smart for us would be to not only just get a cash injection, which would be the same as throwing petrol on a fire, but also to get an injection of knowledge from people that know this realm. And then also other people of influence. If you look at our lineup of the people that are invested, it's like the Avengers. I'll tell you what, just so I don't miss any out, I'm going to quickly go through. Darren Cartel, we are sorry that we spelt your name wrong. I say we, it wasn't me that spelt your name wrong, right? It was Kev, all right? It was Kevin. He spelt your name wrong. So we got Kayla Etsinas, the biggest female fitness influencer in the world, good friend of mine, seeing her for dinner tomorrow night. Alan Barrett, who scaled Grenade to the massive heights that they are. And again, those of you that remember Grenade back in the day, they were a pre-workout. They didn't expect to pivot to be the biggest selling chocolate bar in the UK to the fact that Mondelez would bloody buy them. Dan Martell, love his stuff. And he doesn't just have one GT3, he has two. He has a GT3 RS and a GT3. Sent me a nice little DM just to emasculate me. Well done. It worked. Cody Sanchez, absolute killer. Met her earlier this year in LA. Mike Thurston, world's most controversial blood work. You know, I joked in a video and sent him a voice note saying, send me a blood work, and he actually did. But anyway, we'll move on to it. There are some creators here that I don't know, never met them, but I look forward to meeting them. Darren Cartel, Paul Lima, great friend of mine. Jay Parker, Seth from B-Team. Ed Lawrence invested. Ed has always been my sensei, so it was flattering that I sat with him in Dubai. We're having a coffee. I said, oh, do you want to maybe invest? He goes, yeah, sure. To tell you how well Ed's doing, when he goes, oh, I'll invest this much, we're like, whoa, I don't think we can handle that amount of investment. We had to barter him down. We had to say, can you commit to half? Chris Donnelly, absolute weapon, really inspired me to go hard on LinkedIn. Daniel Priestley, absolute weapon, one of my favorite people in the business space. Dane McDonald, another big hitter in the fitness education space in Australia. George Mack, one of the smartest brains on the internet, and then some other high-end investment firms, of which one called JDI. Now, the reason we like JDI is rewind to 2017. My manager, Luke, who's a shareholder in the business, the week before his wedding, took me on a private jet to Ibiza for one night with my best friends as like a signing contract. Now I can never leave him. If Live Nation come and want to do my tours, I go, you didn't take me to Ibiza for one night on a jet. But at Luke's wedding, the big boss of JDI, just walking past me goes, I hear you went on a jet last week. I said, yeah, honestly, it was amazing. He goes, well, if you want to come on a proper private jet, we're going to Amsterdam next weekend. So of course we went. The audacity, he said, well, we can do handstands on the private jet we're taking. Wow. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the raise and talk about the Neutonic because although it's great and I appreciate all of the sentiment and people saying that's amazing, you also shouldn't care because we've still not made any money personally. I mean. The valuation is still speculative, and until we hit 20 million in revenue, I don't think we should even celebrate yet. Although there's more skin in the game and we've got more capital to play with, the risks are now higher. Every single investor into the business, to me, it feels like a responsibility that we have to continue to grow this and branch out and to get into territories and to do the marketing and do the PR. It's no longer just the four of us. It's now bigger, wider, and more serious. And I will not be celebrating until we reach the heights that we want to, or even better yet, maybe we divest. Maybe in 3 to 5 years, someone comes along, maybe like Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola says, wait, we're taking half. And I get to pay off my parents' mortgage and my sister's mortgage and my own mortgage and anyone else's mortgage that I care about. So it's great, but at the same time, this is just the beginning. Can't take the foot off the gas, which is relatively stressful, but it's a very enjoying project nevertheless, because this has been built off just content creation, email marketing, the exact same thing that everything else is built on. From the talks to the books to the fitness app to this, it's all the same. I wish I could say it requires more or it's more complex, but it's not. The same process happens. You have to accrue enough goodwill from an audience by putting content out, helping their problems to get them to the point that they buy your product. You're better off getting someone's email address than you are selling them to them direct, which is why we'll always try and go direct to customer as much as we can rather than going through TikTok or Amazon where we don't get contact information. Because every time a new product comes out, you want the ability to contact people. How you sell something is how you sell everything. How you market something is how you market everything. And although this is incredibly exciting, I just want to remind people of this today. The first thing that you launch and get good at and spend years trying to market is often the most boring, the least exciting. But as you develop as a marketer, as a personal brand, as a creator, as a content creator, your potential for things to only increases with time. I started off selling sets and reps in person in a budget gym in Bracknell. I then sold sets, reps, workouts, and accountability online. I then sold 300 pages of paper between 2 nice covers that you could buy in WH Smith. I then moved into a consultancy business, which I'm going to have to do today, of helping small creators monetize their businesses. I then set up a fully fledged nootropic business. I'm now an investor in Manual in the UK, one of the world's largest TRT services. But all the cool, exciting shit up here would be nothing without all the boring yards and the hard work and the slow-paced growth over years on social media. So wherever you are in your journey, get excited, because if you keep at it and keep doing what you're doing, the cool stuff is to come. But I definitely earned my stripes in the early days doing the boring stuff when no one cared, no one watched the content, no one read my blogs, no one reacted to my videos, and no one signed up to my email newsletter. If you can stick with the suck for long enough, eventually you get to a point where you can pivot and you can do really well from it. I will put a link in the description for you to try some Neutonic, and beneath that I'll put my email address, my personal email address. If you don't love the product for whatever reason, give me your feedback and I'll refund you out my own personal money. That's not me going into Stripe and hitting refund. It's me getting my Monzo card out and saying, here you go. Seems like a pretty crazy offer to give the world of the internet, especially when loads of people don't like you. But I suppose to me, that's what we could call on LinkedIn founder behavior. Enjoy. And thanks to everyone that's going to click on the link and buy some.